welcome. It's that time once again. Today is Friday. Congratulations. I'm Joe Jaquith, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. I thought yesterday was Friday. I'm not going to lie to you. This whole, 4-day work week had me all messed up, and it was so funny. As I got off the air yesterday, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll talk to everybody on Monday. And Ramon sends me a text. Are you not working tomorrow? And I'm like, oh, my gosh. It's only Thursday.
I thought
and
I had
nobody
the day
here
off.
said a word. Arlene didn't say a word. She was like, oh, hopefully nobody will tell him and we'll pretend. So I apologize for that. So you get one more day of me. But we've made it to Friday. I know the burning question on all of your minds. Am I wearing pants or am I wearing shorts? It's the pants. Yeah, it's going to be another day in the 50s here in the Valley of the Sun. It's going to be, kind of finally feeling like winter here in the Valley. Winter in Phoenix is, 50 to 60 degree highs. That's winter. It's actually supposed to be warmer than that right now. Spring training kicking off. I think there's games today. So we got that going on, and once that's done, everything Easter, and then everyone finally eventually clears out of here. But yeah, got the pants on today. It's Friday, so I know I got the right day today. I want to shout out to all you social media people. You guys are doing great. Because we've been adding all of these features. Yesterday, somebody Facebooked us to tell us that the Twitter podcast link wasn't working, and we fixed it. Yeah, how about that? Yes. So you can get a hold of us all kinds of different ways. If you want to figure out how to do that, go to allamericangold.com. And we got it all up there. We got all the different links there for you, all that social media stuff, all the podcast stuff there. So it's super easy now. You just if you want to do a Google Play, you click on that, take you there. If you want to do the iPhone, iTunes thing, we got a link for that. We got the Twitter link, the Facebook link. We got it all. It's all right there. Of course, the metals programs, IRAs, all the news, the articles, the videos. It's all there for you. allamericangold.com. And, it's the last day of the week. I've got it right this time. All kinds of things happening. Trump issuing the largest sanctions ever against North Korea today. We got, what a mess that school shooting. You know what, I haven't talked about it because I don't like to, because, you can get that everywhere else. But really, this is it's something where these defining moments, and now you have, I guess they stage questions and set up these kids to, serve a political agenda. It's just disgusting. It really, really is. And I wish somehow we could fix it, right, on both sides. And let's just start dealing with reality instead of trying to push our agendas, and things would be a whole lot better. But anyway, no, I've said it. I don't want to talk about it anymore, but just one of those things where sad, really is. It's embarrassing, and it's not just CNN. I mean, obviously they were behind this one, but both sides do it. Enough already, right? Let's figure this stuff out, right? I mean, wouldn't that be a better thing to do, right? I don't know. I know that's too easy. We don't want it. We don't like easy, right? Everybody wants things to be difficult and hard and too complicated to understand. I will say this: wow, business has really picked up here. A lot of people starting to worry about not only obviously what's happening in these debt markets. I don't know if you saw the Chinese insurance company that owns the Waldorf Astoria. They bought it last year. And, of course, when companies buy stuff, right, they don't actually pay for it. They borrow a bunch of money from a bunch of bankers and hey, we bought it. And they got taken over by the Chinese government this morning. So I guess now the Chinese government owns the Waldorf Astoria. Why not? You know, they probably own all our national parks anyway. So maybe it's another one of those things they can leverage what's going on in the debt markets by threatening us with the Waldorf Astoria. I don't know. But, yeah, don't worry, though. Apparently, they had $315 billion worth of debt. Most of it was held in U.S. dollars, so they were U.S. dollar debts, not necessarily treasuries, and that's not what I'm saying, but the debts were owed in dollars. But Wall Street's acting like it doesn't matter. So if Wall Street doesn't care, nobody should care. We got the Dow up about 150. It was up about 160 points yesterday. So in the last 3 days, the Dow was down 167, up 164, currently up 150. And really, if you take the 4 days this week, because it was down to 260 on Tuesday, 4 straight days with 100-plus point moves. And we got, I will say this, we are going to get our first piece of Jerome Powell. He's going to be out next week and speaking. I don't quote me on this, but I think he's testifying in front of Congress. I'm not sure, but we are supposed to get our first. We haven't heard from him, right, since he's taken over from Janet Yellen, so we get our first Jerome Powell. But in lieu of that, again, more Federal Reserve commentary coming out. We'll talk about that. Steve Mnuchin, our Treasury Secretary, made some very, very interesting comments that left a lot of people scratching their heads. Got a lot of ground to cover. Patriot Radio News Hour. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. (800-951-0592). So Jerome Powell is going to be in front of Congress. Today, the Federal Reserve, they sent Congress, I guess, a reading point, a memo, a note, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, about how they feel things are going. The Federal Reserve policymakers see an economy that may be past full employment. Now, again, which, this is part of the nonsense that we've had to suffer through with all of these academics that placate the banking industry, and really not the banking industry, but the Federal Reserve. Right? These people that they're scholars, they're academics. Yes, are they smart? Sure they are. Yeah, they love to tinker around with formulas and equations and try to hypothesize about what the future may hold. And of course, most of the stuff that they do doesn't end up working, right? The Phillips curve's now broke, right? The full employment thing, now they're saying that they're past that because all of their data, all of their formulas say the unemployment rate, which now sits at 4.1%, that's really at the precipice of the low that it could ever be, and it shouldn't stay there very long. And everybody agrees it's probably going to go a little lower. So I guess we're past that, whatever that means. We're past full employment. By the way, in the next little bit, I'll tell you why jobless claims are so low. Well, I've already told you why. Someone finally actually must be listening to my show and did the research. I'll share that with you next. Financial market prices that are high, okay, right? Talking about the stock market, yeah, they're high. But here's what bothers me about that. Why? Why are they this high? And the answer is you did it. I mean, that was their fault. They're the ones that have mispriced debt. It was them. And now they're acting like it's not them, right? Oh, well, we're worried about it. We're watching it. You caused it. Overall growth that they say is gathering steam. So Okay, right? Not horrible. Yeah, okay, stocks are too high, but the economy's gathering a little steam, and this employment thing, yeah, we give up, right? Conditions remain appropriate for further interest rate increases. Now, today, if I want to believe the people on the TV, they say that the market, I don't know how they know this. Maybe the market tells them. Right? Excuse me, Dow Jones, where are you on the rate hikes? How many are we going to get? And apparently on TV, the market is ready for 2.5 rate hikes. So that's what they say is priced in. So 3 or 4 would be, the market's going to have some more heartburn. And everybody's saying that they're going to raise in March and raise in June. And I'll tell you, I really have no idea. I'm hoping we'll learn more with Powell next week. The Monetary Policy Report provided a wide-ranging view of conditions for new Chairman Jerome Powell, who took the Fed reins earlier this month. He's going to present the report along with remarks during the testimony on Tuesday. So be a very, very interesting market Monday and Tuesday as all of this plays out. The FOMC expects that further gradual adjustments. I love the word gradual. What does that mean, gradual? We already know, listen, you only hike rates during they have 8 Federal Reserve meetings a year, right? So I guess in theory, the Federal Reserve could have 8 attempts outside of an emergency meeting, which I would assume they could have, but 8 attempts to hike rates. The way they like to do it, because this is how scripted it is, right? Because they want you to believe that they have all of this under control, that they only like to raise rates when they have a press conference, right? Because they want to be able to spin it. Right? We want to spin what the rate hike is. So anyway, the gradual pace and economic activity that is going to expand, and here's the word they used, moderate pace, which is the word they've been using. Well, they really go back and forth, modest and moderate. And I'm not a good enough English, my grasp of the English language is not strong enough for me to really know what the difference is, except for they believe that moderate is better than modest. The labor market conditions will remain strong. So this is the report. This is what Jerome Powell is going to give, and he's already, I guess, given it ahead of time in front of Congress. And although there is no way to know with precision, the labor market appears to be near or a little beyond full employment at present. Okay? Although employers report having more difficulty finding workers, hiring continues at pretty much the same pace. Listen, I've been saying this for the last 3 years now. We actually hired less people last year. We did. Than the year before or the year before that. Serious labor shortages would likely have brought about larger wage increases than have been evident. In other words, the Federal Reserve says, our academic, go back again, we're a bunch of academics here, and we've got this Phillips curve that says when we get near or at or beyond, I didn't know you could go beyond, but beyond full employment, wages need to rise. But it's not happening. The remark said federal officials seem more slack in the labor market. In other words, they're not anticipating this great giant wage inflation that we keep hearing about. And when you think about it, it's so funny because you're like, yeah, the other day, and I got upset, and I did, and I try not to, but sometimes it's really hard. Because all of us that live in the real world know inflation is so much higher. And whether it's, I made fun of the report about the automobiles, right? 20 years, new cars are at all-time record high prices, no inflation, right? Because they make the, it's better. You can heat your butt. And we got, you can plug in your little phone, and look how great the cup holders are now. I mean, I don't know, whatever it may be. And then you think about, what about the car insurance? Right? It's not just the car. The car insurance, that's doubled, right? In medical costs and all these things, and we all know it. So, but in housing, they use this rent equivalent. What the heck is that? And the funny part is they, whoever they are, the people that run the billionaire channels and the Federal Reserve, they quote it like it's gospel. Hey, listen, if we pretend that we're not screwing over the American people, they're too dumb to know. Because most people don't even watch the show. Right? Most people, they don't want to listen to Double J. They don't want to listen to Patriot Radio News Hour. They listen. And I'm the same. Listen, I get in my car, I got the sports radio on. Right? I want to hear about spring training, or the Cardinals, or the Suns, or the Diamondbacks, or I don't care anything. Right? Or they want to watch The Bachelorette. I want to get started on that. Instead of really looking at what's really happening out there, and here's the thing, you get away with it for a long time. And really, you got to give them credit for how long they got away with it. But remember, they got away with it by manipulating the numbers, right? If we kept track of how we did of what inflation was in the 80s, here's the lesson of the 70s. You know what they learned in the 70s? Oh, we got to stop telling the truth. Hey, I know how we're going to be. Right, Paul Volcker crushed inflation by bringing interest rates up to like 20%. Yeah, did that crush it? Or did they crush it by just changing it? Hey, I got a really good idea. Let's crack open our textbooks. Let's come up with these super complicated formulas, and we'll just dazzle them with bull crap and tell them that we've got inflation under control. And remember, we talked about this, right? We've been in this almost 40-year cycle where how did they cover it up? Right? Well, they covered it up with debt, right? We know that, and whether it was the federal government or the Federal Reserve, but that isn't enough. They had to cover it up with debt and then misprice the debt. And now once you go to zero, right, you got to go the other way. And now they're saying, okay, well, now we finally fixed it now. Remember, the debt hit $1 trillion for the very first time in 1981. When they took us off the gold standard, the debt was $400 billion. Think about that for a second. $400 billion. We are running budget deficits, and remember, we got the two numbers. Even the good number, the budget deficit number, is going to be well over $1 trillion for a single year. We now have $21 trillion, $22 trillion by the end of 2018, somewhere around $24 trillion in 2019, and from Buzz Lightyear to infinity and beyond. And now, all of a sudden, we've got a problem. Because they need to try to get this GDP thing going again. And so they've stepped on the debt accelerator, right? Washington has stepped on the debt accelerator. Well, the Federal Reserve is trying to raise interest rates all at the same time, right? It's creating this superstorm that nobody knows what's going to happen. And now they're trying to talk themselves into somehow saying, no, don't worry, we've got it, we got it. Inflation has generally come below central bank targets only because you guys manipulated the numbers to appear that it was below. They remain attentive to the possibility of forces leading to continued low inflation. Yes, Lord Vader's going to Jerome, I am your father. There's no inflation, and it's going to be great. They're also watchful regarding the opposite risk of inflation moving undesirably high. See, they're watching for both. Hey, we got our eye out in case it's too low. Oh, we got our eye out in case it's too high. What story does that remind you of? Goldilocks. Too cold, too hot, just right. What did I tell you last week? Goldilocks is dead. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. Mrs. Schlafly was a courageous and articulate voice for traditional values and common sense for more than 70 years. Now, from the Phyllis Schlafly Center Studios, here's Ryan Haidt.
When liberals don't have a real argument, they resort to calling names, typically some sort of phobia. If you want border control, you have xenophobia. If you believe traditional marriage is the foundation of society, you have homophobia. If you want America to use common sense to combat terrorism, you have Islamophobia. Like the trigger words racist and sexist, these phobias don't create a dialogue. Their only purpose is to shut down any chance of real dialogue. However, Phyllis Schlafly was clever enough to turn their own talking points around. One of the biggest attacks on the family today is the near omnipotent power of family courts. When divorce cases come up, judges have unilateral authority to place a child with only one parent and to exact large child support payments from the other. The biggest problem with this arrangement is that so many of these judges are afflicted with what Phyllis called father phobia, the presumption that fathers are not important in the life of their children. So often these family courts will ignore almost any attempt at equal shared custody. Unfortunately, family courts justify their decisions under the mantra of the best interest of the child. Obviously, that kind of vague language can be used to justify almost anything in the wrong hands. Our culture and judicial precedent has always held that the best interest of the child is determined by the parents. When that societal anchor is removed from the decision-making process, judges reach for whatever they can in order to justify their rulings. Often, they end up reaching for the opinions of so-called experts, including lawyers and psychologists. When the rights of parents are abridged without due process or the possibility of appeal, we should know that the family is under attack. While the laundry list of phobias from the left may not be valid, father phobia is taking a very real toll on American families. As a culture, we must remember that children with both parents in their lives are the ones who are the most likely to become productive citizens. Fathers have always been and will continue to be a tangible good for kids and for our American society.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. The traditional family is the building block of our communities and country. That's why it's imperative to support strong marriages, respect fathers, and champion stay-at-home moms. At phyllisschlafly.com, we oppose the liberal attempt to redefine the family. To join us, visit phyllisschlafly.com. Thanks for listening, and join us again next time for the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
Goldilocks was hungry, so she decided to try every bowl. This porch is too hot.
This porch is too cold. This porch is just right. And I'm gonna eat it all up.
Then Goldilocks decided to sit down.
Oh, well, hey, there's all kinds of good analogies you can use. And the Goldilocks, right? The fallacy that they like to pretend that they've created. But really, when you think about it, they didn't create that. And you know what's funny is you've heard really, really smart people. Now, the ones that really make the big money, when things get really bad, they're not the ones coming out saying, yeah, we took big losses. Yeah, no, they're the ones saying we cleaned it up. Right, we're making a fortune. Ray Dalio, Buffett's great at it. Jeffrey Gundlach is good at it. Stanley Druckenmiller, great at it. Right, all of those guys. You know what they say? They've made this thing really dangerous because they doubled down on everything, right? They doubled the deal. Think about it. The debt doubled in 8 years. It's going to double again in about 8 years. And if we're not careful, it could be sooner than that. And they acted like they created Goldilocks. It's got gold in it. Isn't that funny, too? It's got gold in there, right? They always want to try to somehow put gold into anything when they think they've done real good. And now we run into this horrible problem where there's so much debt. Let's just face it, they're having a hard time selling it. Just be honest. And everybody in the world thinks the dollar's going down, which makes selling it even harder. And they're coming out and they're trying to pretend like, no, it's fine. We've got this. And we're not sure why these prices are elevated, but they're elevated. They won't be. Don't worry, it's going to fix itself. And then they talk a lot about the labor market. And this is really the big concern as far as they want you to believe. This is the story they want you to believe. The concern is you may be starting to make too much money. That's the concern. Wage inflation. Steve Mnuchin came out today and said there's no correlation between wages and inflation, and wow, did he get hammered? Right? Because obviously that is the main thing they care about. And I've said this to you all the time. Why do you think they manipulate and lie about our inflation, right? What it costs to live, right? And put shelter. And I don't care how you do it, whether it's a mortgage, whether it's rent, or even this, whatever they call it, the rent equivalent, whatever that may be, right? And they don't care about that. They lie about food prices. They, like at the grocery store. Have you seen a box of cereal? When I was a kid, the box of cereal was twice as big as it is today. Probably actually cost less even than it does today. It's incredible. But they don't care about that. They care about what it cost Wall Street. And if it costs them more to employ you by them actually having to pay you, they don't like it. And now the Federal Reserve and their little thing to Congress, they're like, yeah, well, we're past the full employment thing, and employers are supposed to really be having a hard time finding people, and wages are supposed to be rising, but we don't know why it's not happening. You look at jobless claims, right? Yesterday, 222,000, right? Jobless, they're at the lowest. We haven't seen this since the 70s. And, of course, I keep telling you the reason you don't see jobless claims rising because employers don't hire like they used to. I shouldn't say most, so many people out there are 1099 employees now. That's just the way it is. Well, today, the National Unemployment Insurance Program, okay, so that's, what you know when you line up for unemployment benefits, has run into a big problem. Labor experts, apparently, you know what, maybe I'm a labor expert and I didn't know it. It's no longer able to provide protections to an expanding share of today's workers. Right? Think about, again, what these companies have done. They took people where we used to hire you, and then we had to pay payroll tax, and then we all had to pay, insurance and do all this other stuff and 401k and maternity leave and all these. And we don't want to do any of that. And they found a way to get out of it. Unemployment insurance was established in 1935, so part of the Great Depression. The Social Security Act of 1935 also created unemployment insurance. The act sent weekly checks to workers who had lost their jobs through no fault of their own. In other words, hey, if you quit, well, that's on you. Taxes are paid into the system by employers, which, by the way, no one talks about that. That thing, almost every year, that rate goes up. Trust me, I know, I pay it. To cover employees who lose their jobs. So all businesses, if you're a business owner and you have employees, you pay this unemployment insurance, as it's called. The basic program run by the states, but the Federal Department of Labor is the overseer. The average unemployment check is around $300 a week. To qualify, you typically have to emerge from a traditional W-2 employee arrangement. That means alternative workers. I did not know that was what they're called. Apparently, if you are not in the traditional W-2 employee arrangement, that means you're an alternative worker, such as independent contractor and freelancer. You can throw in there Uber and Lyft drivers and really a whole host of anything now. The problem, experts say, because of the ranks of these workers has swelled by 66% from 2005 to 2015. Yeah, I'm going to tell you the rest when we return. Well, the word is finally out. I'm going to help them out because this report only goes to 2015. So we're probably at a place where the ranks of the alternative worker have doubled since 2015. They make up now 1 out of every 5 workers in the labor force. And you're unable to file for jobless claims. And now, just now, someone's realizing, hey, they don't even say that it's a problem. But here's something very, very interesting in the report. According to the Government Accountability Office, these types of employees, the alternative worker, twice as likely as the W-2 employee or the traditional employee to report having been laid off in the previous year. Isn't that interesting? As technology and automation continue to recalibrate the way we work, The trend away from traditional employment is accelerating. And they said that modernizing unemployment insurance for the changing nature of work. If you look where our economy is headed, the unemployment insurance program is going to be less and less relevant as a large segment of our workforce can no longer participate. By the way, just in case you wanted to know, just in case anybody wants to actually tell the truth. Because when you hear these idiots on the TV, once a month when they do the government job stuff, they talk about how low these jobless claims are, and they never tell you why. The 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, even the early 2000s, about 40% of people without a job collected unemployment insurance, because then it only goes for so long, and then after that you drop off. It's down to 25%. So we went from 4 in 10 to 2.5 in 10, and that's really something where when you look at the jobs that are out there, and you look at unemployment, and you look at how they calculate it, all of those people get missed. That's why the labor, they're reporting a 4.1% unemployment rate, because all of you alternative workers don't count when you lose your job. And oh, by the way, you're twice as likely to lose it. Matter of fact, I was talking to a customer in Lyons yesterday, in Lyons, Colorado. And he does freelance work for the city of Lyons. Maybe it was the state. I can't remember, either the state of Colorado or the city of Lyons. And he's a freelancer, and he's like, yeah, I'm watching all of these freelancers get whacked, right? They're all losing their jobs, right? And he's kind of, talking about, man, I hope I'm not the next guy. And I asked him, I'm like, why? Because Colorado's booming, right? Marijuana for everybody. And he's like, well, they're claiming budget issues, just like anything else. And I was kind of just shocked, because he's been a freelancer for them for years and years. And if he ever, gets dumped on his keister, there's no recourse. And it's just interesting again. When they want to hide what the real truth is, it just angers me. And Jerome Powell, and they send this up to Congress, and they come out, and they act like this is such a big deal, and they can't figure out why the Phillips curve is broken. I figured it out for you. You're just not counting them. You're acting like they don't exist. Guess what? All the companies, they know they exist. They use them all the time. Hey, you're laid off. So, hey, we don't need you right now. We'll call you when we do. A couple months goes by. Okay, hey, come on back, do some work. Oh, now we're done with you. A couple months, oh, come on back. Oh, now we're done with you. And it's just one of these things where I don't know. I just don't know how you. And then they talk about how they don't see the bubbles. Right? Well, we don't see it. And they say, well, the stock market, the price, it can be high. Look at the unemployment rate. And it's going to go even lower. You're right. It is, because guess what? Most companies want to hire alternative workers. And then, of course, when it all comes crashing down, they're going to look and say, well, it wasn't my fault. Right? Oh, it was this guy's fault, or that's, this company took bad debt on, or this company did this or that. Just incredible. It really is. Here it is, and these are the smartest, they're supposed to be the experts of economics. And they won't tell you the truth. They won't come out. They don't level with the American people. They don't level with our elected officials. They sit there and they act like, well, we're just scratching our head because, our model says that we don't know why it's not happening. Yeah, they do. But then if they admit that, then guess what? All of a sudden, Goldilocks really isn't here, is she? 800-951-0592. I'm going to give you a quick, in this final Friday, a quick segment on something where I hate it, but I got to tell you, I got to just say what's in my heart. So, final segment, where should you be putting your money? We'll talk about that before we leave for the weekend.
Everybody's working for the weekend. Everybody wants a new romance. Hey, yeah.
You gotta love it. I love hearing that song, right? Because you only hear it on Fridays. Everybody's working for the weekend. 800-951-0592. You know what? I've been doing a lot of talking to a lot of customers, and when they want to talk silver, and I tell them all the same thing, how much I hate it. I hate it. I don't hate it. It's so heavy and bulky, but God, you got to buy it. 81 ounces of silver for an ounce of gold. In my own calculations, and take it for what it's worth, right? I say, the average should be about 65, which means silver should be $4 an ounce higher right now. Most people out there that are, and I would say, people that I would consider to be experts in the industry, okay, people that really follow gold, not some idiot on the TV that doesn't even know anything about it. They like to use the 50 to 1, which technically, if you go back through, that really is kind of the number. But for me, I kind of say you got to throw away the 70s and things like that. And if you just go to kind of the last 25 years, it's more like 65. But it's true. If you use the 50 to 1, silver's $10 an ounce undervalued. And I don't think anybody out there thinks gold's overvalued, right? So you know where we're going. U.S. Silver Eagles, $395 a roll. If you buy a case of Silver Eagles, which is 25 rolls of 20 or 500 ounces, $9,750, and that's delivered. Whether you want to pick it up here or deliver it to your house, $9,750 on cases of U.S. Silver Eagles. You save $5 a roll when you buy it by the case. Buying it by the roll, $395 a roll at 800-951-0592. Even when I build portfolios, I always put silver in there. You always need to have it. It's really, if it really hit the fan, it's a great way to have that, those loaf of breads and the maybe it's some eggs from the farmer or the chicken or whatever it may be. That small incremental stuff, silver can more than meet your needs. But when it gets above 80, really in the history of one time, gold or the ratio got to 100, but there were special circumstances there. I won't go into it, but let's just say they manipulated that market to do that for a very specific reason. The only other time it's been this high got to 84, and that may have been last year or the year before, and I was screaming at everyone to buy it then. Today I'm rounding up a little bit, but it's at 81, 80.67 or something like that. U.S. Silver Eagles, $395. Cases delivered to your door, $9,750. 800-951-0592. Can't wait for next week. We got Jerome Powell on Tuesday. Should be a wild ride.